I don't know what I could say about Omar that folks all don't already know, but for the benefit of those who are with us here the first time, we met Omar last year, right around the beginning of our situation with COVID. And Omar has been a driving force, not just in his native Puerto Rico, but here in South Florida and other places as well. We've had a subgroup for Spanish speaking Scrum Masters and product owners. And for a while back, I was telling Rick, we got to have Omar talk about his journey, and share what his experience has been. And, last year, he joined us for a series of classes where he was like, yeah, I want to take my career, my path to product ownership. And I go, but Omar, part of being able to do that is giving back to the community and sharing what that experience has been. Okay. And so it took a while. But finally we pinned him down and he had no choice. So here he is. Okay. Without further ado, I want to introduce you a good friend of mine, a good friend of ours, Omar Gonzalez. Take us home, Omar.
Thanks, Marcelo. Good night, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Like Marcelo said, I will give you a little bit about my history between product ownership and Scrum Mastery, and my journey between both of those realms, and how I end up choosing the area that I selected. Now, before pretty much that is what I'm going to be talking to you about. Feel free to stop me at any given moment. So feel free to stop me at any given moment, ask any questions. And if I'm going too fast, please tell me, because I do get rambly and speak faster when I'm nervous. So before we start, I do want to know about you people, because I do have a feeling that I am outnumbered and that I have a lot of coaches and Scrum Masters here with me. Now, I'm going to put a link in the chat, and please, if you can, go ahead and go to that link to the Jamboard, and I will bring that up so I can see who I have here with me, and what probably information can I tell you that can at least help you see what is, or what my journey is, and how can that help you. Okay, so I see I already have one Scrum Master. Ooh, nice. I got a product manager here. Not alone. Senior Scrum Master. I don't know who just did that, but thank you.
Okay, we are all over 18 here, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. just watching out for the verbiage.
Okay.
Because for the record, folks, this is being recorded. We are going to post this to the Transformation Experts YouTube channel. So if you miss out on some piece, tidbit or something, you can always come back and refer to it later in the future. Thank you.
So to all those who answered, I see I am a professional student. Okay. So thank you. Now, please go to the second tab and answer how, from 1 to 10, how happy are you in your current position? Now, there is a reason for this, but I'll get to that later.
It's the second frame. You can click on the upper part of
if you go up here, you're gonna see this box. Just click on this arrow, and you'll be taken to the next slide.
Got it. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, so I see there's some, at least a couple of above 8, so that's good. And then go to the next and last slide. And this one is, if you could try something else, meaning another position, a career change, what would that be?
What is AI?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, gee. I thought it's something Scrum.
It doesn't have to be Scrum related. It's anything. It's pretty much an open question, just to assess how content, or if you had the opportunity, what would you do? Gone fishing. I'd like that one. Got a couple of good options there. Okay, so thank you very much. Like I said, I will get back to this, and there's a reason When I tell you my journey, there's a reason why I'm asking this one in particular. So let me go back to presentation. Okay, so guys, like Marcelo said, my name is Omar Gonzalez. I am currently a product owner for CoFence, which is a cybersecurity company. Before that, and in most positions that I've had before when I started my professional career, there has been the main word in common, which is analyst. And I've been a systems analyst, a business analyst, a quality tester and analyst. And then now within my Agile journey, I have been a Scrum Master, a product owner, and thanks to Rick and Transformation Experts, a junior Agile coach. Now, from all these points, the biggest and most important point that I wanted to bring to you is this one below down here. I'm consistently wanting to learn more. And not just because it's knowledge is power or just because it is better to keep on learning, but it's because how I can be better. And not just for myself, but how can I help others while I become better? And thanks to coaching, I've seen that. Now, within the journey, the first question I would have, and I am not expecting anyone to answer if you don't want to, but is when we're the most used is Scrum. And here you have the Scrum values. But when we think of the Scrum values, we're thinking of them as a team. My question to you is, how many times do you actually focus on those Scrum values for yourself? How many times, once you are in, no matter the position, a product owner, a Scrum Master, or even part of the dev team, how many times do you adapt, you're transparent, or you inspect of what you're doing? And not think of as a whole as a team. So the way this journey started is in 2016, I started learning about Agile. Now, how did this happen? I was in a medical insurance company and I heard, oh, we're doing Scrum. There was this team, external team, we're doing Scrum. I'm like, what is it? They tried to explain it. And when I go back to that explanation, if you can't explain it simply, you just don't understand it. And they made it a lot more complicated than it actually was. So I went on my own. I looked on for an online course, and there I had my first Agile experience. Now, this wasn't an instructor-led course. Unfortunately, economically, that was out of my budget. So I took this other course and I read about it. And from what I read, there were a few concepts that were actually easy to understand. To give you an example, the stand-up, it was pretty simple. User stories, that was a simple aspect of how to divide the work. I understood it, but not as well as I thought I did. So after a while, getting to work with this team and seeing and learning from what they were doing, I did start increasing my Agile knowledge, but it just meant that I had to keep on learning more and looking for more options. Little bit after that, I moved after I saw that Franken Scrum, because they did not have an Agile coach. I was offered a business analyst position. Now, within this business analyst position, when I was interviewed, they had talked to me about that they were using Scrum and that I would be in charge of working with the team, part of the dev team, and helping out to define what was going to be built and define user stories. So I did that. And after a while, I kept on learning. I had another teacher / mentor who was helping me to refine and develop my user story writing skills, and then looking at the product and learning to look at the product in small pieces. I came from a normal PMP environment, so you would look at everything in big chunks. And he was teaching me to break things down into even smaller pieces to make sure that it was enough for the team to go ahead and build it within a sprint. And that seemed good. For a time, I kept on doing that. I was at times I interacted with my Scrum Master, had several conversations with him, and by pure observation, see how he would do things, how he would run things. So how would he conduct a stand-up? How would he conduct a refinement session? How would he conduct a planning session? How would he go ahead and run a retro? And little by little, I was making notes and still reading online but not looking for formal training. At a given point in time within this company, I was approached by our CEO. Mind you, this was a startup, and I was told that they were considering me for being a product owner. Now, I was excited about it because for me it meant a promotion, but then it dawned on me, or at least to that point, it was, I'm not ready. So there's things I still need to learn. There's still things I need to know. And I incurred in getting my Scrum Master, my product owner certification, which I did with Hector and Winnow Management, and that's where I got my CSPO. Now that was my first introduction to a formal Agile from Scrum Alliance course, and everything there was great. I loved it, and hearing it or looking at the class, what that helped me was be a little bit more cognizant of how I can be a stronger ally to my Scrum Master, but at the same time, how to work or what things to work better in a team. After that course, I was really paying attention or starting to pay attention to the Scrum values of how, as a product owner, would I make sure I am committed to my team, that my focus is on making sure that I get my team what they need, answer questions or anything that is missing, that the respect was always there. And if anything happens, be open about it, let the team know, and see how together as a team we can start working on it. So I kept on working as a product owner. Little by little, we did make some good decisions and good product releases, but I started seeing problems that were above me. Now, this was another startup, and we did not have a coach. This was implemented in-house, so we had another version of FrankenScrum. And for those who don't know or haven't heard of FrankenScrum, it's what you think is Scrum implemented by in-house according to what you have read or your interpretation of what you've read. So we were doing a lot of context switching, and that led to then delays. And after those delays, it led to the point in which we got to an area in which the team was already drowning. We had gathered tech debt, we had gathered a lot of uncertainty. And finally, we got to the point in which the company was already downfalling, and we had to actually go under. Now, as a product owner, I tried to do my best. I tried to look for solutions to see how we can maybe cut some of the scope in order to push out products. And that was, again, with help of my mentor, which he's not here, but if anybody knows him, his name is Jim Mason, and looked for ideas on seeing how we can just make sure that our product is out. But unfortunately, it got to the point in which the project failed, the company failed, and I was almost out of a job. Now, within this time, our Scrum Master had been transitioned to help out the CEO in gaining more sales for this company. And I had done a dual role, and I was now acting as both the Scrum Master and the product owner. This is normally not done, not recommended, but within a startup, you do everything. And then this startup, it was just one more title that I was missing. Aside from product owner, I was doing QA. Aside from QA, we were working with blockchain, and the CEO had an idea to start a blockchain academy here in Puerto Rico. So I got certified also within blockchain, within Hyperledger. And Scrum Master, hey, one more thing, let's do it. I was willing. So as a Scrum Master, given to what I had learned and seen from my previous Scrum Master, I was able to run all the ceremonies, all the activities with relative ease, because I had already some practice and I had made notes for when I was within these meetings. But there was a problem here, and this control with me was out of my hands, which was the openness, but not from me per se, but from the company. Now, as a product owner / Scrum Master, you have to try to keep your team motivated to move forward. But we got to the point in which there was no turning back. And this is how my journey to a Scrum Master started. I started looking for different opportunities. Now, as a product owner, for those who have searched for positions, if you look at those job descriptions, you see that product owners require a certain amount of expertise or a certain amount of years of experience, of which in most cases, unfortunately, I did not have. There was other companies. Now, I had acted as a Scrum Master and I did have a Scrum Master certification. So I started looking for a Scrum Master role as well. Now, if I'm thinking personally at this and I look at the Scrum values, I wouldn't go with any of them for this, because my decision to go as a Scrum Master, I saw it more as a risk than as courage, because I had worked more as a business analyst and as a product owner. And like I said before, the main keyword in most of my positions has been analyst. So I was thinking more about the product, more about how do I break it? How do I build it? How is it that I deal with any bug or try to make that distinction? It was a lot more difficult dealing with the human element that was pretty much unknown to me. Because as a product owner, you do have that interaction. You do talk with people, but it's not the same thing, because a product owner is there to answer questions. He is the vision. He is the one who takes the message of what we need to deliver, and the team decides how. But the Scrum Master, the servant leader, he takes people and not take their hand necessarily, but he helps those members of that dev team reach those goals together. And he solves impediments that sometimes are much simpler than code. But knowing this, I still took that risk. And luckily, after some intense interviewing sessions and having some confidence in that I can do it and demonstrating that, I got my opportunity to be a Scrum Master. Now, this brought a whole new variable to the mix, because I knew Scrum from the Scrum Alliance perspective, meaning the CSM, which for most people, it's the introductory version of it. But I was going into a Scrum Master in a company that was implementing SAFe, or Scaled Agile Framework. And for those who know about SAFe, know that there is some complexities and some additional things that you have to take into account that within CSM, you don't think about, or you don't have to think about, because it's a lot simpler. And an example of this, it's the PI, or the product increment, which is 3 intense days. And I said, let's do it. They gave me the opportunity. So there I started going with courage. I was selected. I can do this. Let's go for it. My mission there was simple. They said, we're going to give you a team This team has some difficulties. We need you to make it into a high performing team. Once you finish with that, we'll give you another team. I'm like, okay. So going to the Scrum values, my focus and commitment, also, along with my respect, was to do that. In order to start that ball rolling, I went ahead and met with each and one of the team members. First, I met with my product owner. What do you expect from me? What is it that I can do to help you and make this team go better? Then I met with the BAs. Again, what is your expectation of me? What can I do to help you guys? And lastly, but not least, I met with my dev team. And there I formulated my plan, trying to make sure that I fit and help them little by little as I learn of what I'm doing. Because as a Scrum Master, personally, the way I see it, the better, the more you know and understand what your team is building and why it's building, the better you can help them. And I don't mean this just from a product perspective, but even from a development perspective, or even a BA. It's try to look at their thinking so that if you can identify yourself with them, it'd be easier to help them. This plan lasted a month. I was called in a meeting with my RTE and the deputy RTE, and they're like, "You're doing a great job, but we have to give you 2 more teams." 2 more teams. And what was those 2 teams? I asked, they answered, but I didn't feel comfortable with it because I still hadn't felt that I had gotten the grasp of SAFe. So using Openness, I requested a meeting with my RTE, and I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. I have not completed the initial ask that you gave me, and I'm not sure that I will be able to do it successfully with 2 additional teams. My RTE's response, and coaches, later you can tell me if this was a good answer or not. He's like, the mere fact that you're bringing this up shows us that you care for the team and that you're gonna look for a way to make sure that you can make this work. Now, was that a good answer or not? I'll let the coaches decide. I have my own personal opinion about it. But again, I said, yes, okay, let's do it. And from one team, I was dealing with 3 teams. Now, one of the members of one of the teams that I have is actually here, and I'll give him a quick shout out, which is Luis, and thank you for being here. I was his Scrum Master. As a Scrum Master, I still felt I was doing things, but there were certain things that I didn't understand why. I know they had to be done, but to know more, then that's how I reached Transformation Experts. And I took my SSM course. And knowing that I was a product owner before, I also went ahead and I took my POPM course. So with both, within that case, I took both classes with Regina, and there I was learning more about SAFe, every position, everything that went in there. Go ahead, Marcelo.
I'm going to take you up on your offer to kind of press pause on you because we have some questions that have kind of surfaced up through the chat. And
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna ask Jason to share his question with the group.
I will do it. So Omar, I wanted to know on a very basic level what you found was the biggest issue with SAFe when you were first introduced to it.
The PI planning. The PI planning was the first issue that I found with it. When you look at it from a theoretical perspective, it is the teams, the communication, the way the teams are supposed to communicate and to make sure that they have the dependencies and to communicate that before time, it was horrible. and sorry for the lack of a better word, but I saw there that communication, and to be honest, if I look at it even further, it's that preparation process for the PI wasn't there. And probably a month and a half after me being hired was my first PI. So I was seeing this and trying to help or getting recommendations from a coach, but at the same time, seeing this, and to me, it felt very disorganized in the sense that, okay, how does this work? And when I sat down and looked at it, when we start that new PI, that's when I see it's communication issues. It's 3 intense days of a 10+ hour day, because then the time box wasn't always respected within a PI, and many people I think have or could experience that. And that was the first thing. The time box breaking, I've seen that before. It didn't bother me, so it's like cool. But the PI itself, it was shocking.
Wow, thank you for that honesty, that brutal, blunt honesty, Omar. Really appreciate that. We also had a question from somebody out there. I don't know if that person feels ready, but if you want to take the opportunity, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Omar your question. I'm not going to out you. I'm going to let you say who you are if you've got a question.
Well, if nobody speaks, I can ask a question. Or maybe that's me. So I hear a little bit about your story. There's some similarities. I am a career changer, 16 years in operations management, more specifically in call centers. I've been from the phones to all aspects of it. Switched careers about 1.5 years ago. And I got a position as a product management, and it's been extremely difficult. They threw at me 6 projects and 13 developers within a week from starting, knowing my background. And I just, I kind of hear your story in a way, kind of relates. I just wasn't fortunate enough to work shadowing someone or observing. So what will be your kind of like tips or recommendations to be able to grow into this role?
Tips to grow, I would say the courses, at least from a theoretical perspective, are good because they help you learn the ins and outs or the reasons why things are done, especially with quality instructors. The other thing I would recommend, there are some good books out there that you can read that help you give an idea. But the most help that I've had is talking with other product owners, product managers, and even within positions or within my current position, I look up to my product manager and I ask them, how do we do this? How do we do that? Because right now, from my position, if I were to be, again, very honest and adopting a lot of transparency here, it's as a product owner, I still have a long way to go. I took a product owner course, that product management course from edX, which if you are interested, I would highly recommend it, and I can send you the link later. That showed me that there's still a lot as a product owner that I need to learn, because being a product owner, you don't, if you read only into it, or if sometimes with the courses, you maybe see it from, I don't know, 10,000 feet. But when you take certain courses or you read certain books, you deep dive into what it is. Product owner is just not writing user stories, talking to the client. A product owner is seeing even further. How can I make this product better? Even before getting client feedback, what ideas can I do? How do I gather that feedback? How can I do to make sure that this idea is actually going to work? So I would say look for people who can help you talk with coaches. They can give you ideas on what things you could do to improve. And then on a personal note is it's up to you. It's really up to you that how far do you want to go and how good do you want to be. And this is just for me that I have this constant need to make sure that if I do it right. Not because and I'll be selfish here, not for only making company goals, but to prove yourself that you have what it takes. And if I could help you in any way, let me know. I could, within my limited wisdom, I could probably give you a few tidbits here and there. But I'm willing to help you all the way. And if I don't know the answer, we can figure it out together. Anybody else have a question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So after taking those teams, to be honest, I was missing the product owner position, but my commitment again and my focus was to getting this teams make across the finish line for HPI. Now there came two opportunities of which I were presented and I took full advantage of it. Now, our DevOps team needed to do some integrations and they needed somebody to spearhead the mini project overview of it. And they said they needed somebody to write stories and analyze what was needed. So without hesitation, I said, I'll do it. And I sat with a couple of developers. I got the requirements from the DevOps team. And after that, I was rolling. I had already set up my Epic with my user stories. And I had that rush, like, yes, I missed this. And I was like, okay, cool. This is good. Later then came another project. And the product owner of one of my new teams, he had his hands full. So he had this additional application that was literally handed to him yesterday. And he said, and I learned it. It was a very simple application. And I'm like, let me help you out. Let me help you out. And if anything goes wrong, I will be open enough to admit that I messed up and that you let me do it. And no fault to you. So I got to that agreement with my product owner and it worked. It worked. It went out well. Thankfully, I had a good relationship with my developers, with my QA, and with my product owner. So there was a lot of respect there. And due to that, I was able to make some informal working agreements with the team on how we were going to work on our normal tasks and then everything related to that new project. So I was working on that and helping out. So, but again, that itch of product ownership, it was like, I miss it. And then comes a day that something I did not expect. My RTE sits me down and he says that he knows his time is almost up. And he wanted me to be his successor. Now, this was a shock to me. Why? Because I didn't think that I was a good Scrum Master. I still viewed that I had my faults and that there were things that I did not manage very well. To be honest, one of them was sometimes the time management, something so simple like that. To me, that was like, are you going to be here? Yes or no? And I'll deal with it later. But I didn't manage that. Metrics, which is very important, that wasn't my strong suit. But I got things done. I was there. My product owners didn't need me to do anything or didn't have to need to tell me to do something. I was there doing it, and apparently they saw it. I don't know if my team members spoke out. I don't know if it was me doing it without showing them that I had the ability without knowing it. And he sat me down. I would like for you to be my successor. And I sat down, I thought about it, and I left, and I asked, do I have to give you a straight an answer right now? He's like, no, we got time. Okay, so I kept on working, and I got to a point in which the psychological safety that I had changed. And a couple of changes here and there led me to doubt if I really was willing to go to being a product owner or going to the journey of an RTE, which for those who don't know an RTE, a release train engineer, my elevator pitch of an RTE is a Scrum Master on steroids, because he's the Scrum Master of the project, and he is the servant leader of the whole team, not just the servant leader for the Scrum Masters, but he is the servant leaders for the people above him, for product leadership, if you will. After a few changes, after seeing things, how they were progressing, I went and had a conversation with one of our coaches, which unfortunately he's not here, but it is it is Art, and I recommend talking with him. He won't beat around the bush. He'll tell you things the way he sees it, or in that case, I think he saw that was what I was needing, a slapping around, and it's like, get your act together. And he went straight to the point. So I went to my RTE and sat down with him, but I also went to our program manager. And I said, because the program manager had endorsed this, I said, I appreciate you guys the offer of wanting me to be an RTE, but I prefer to be a product owner. And I gave them my reasoning, and it's because, again, it's so much easier to deal with code than people. It's so much easier to deal with sometimes with a bug and thinking how to break it than sometimes dealing with people issues. And as a product owner, or as Scrum Masters, many of people say, like, but you still have to deal with people. Yes, you're absolutely right. I deal with customers, I deal with developers, but I deal with problem solving more. And it's more problem solving, or the way I see it, more problem solving for an application, which in my idea were a lot simpler, but it made me decide that it was the best way for me to go. And the reason I'm saying this, because now I will reference you to the second question I made was, how happy are you on the scale from 1 to 10 on your current role? And as a Scrum Master, my happiness was at a level 3. Now, what does happiness matter? I read this book, which I mentioned to Marcelo earlier today, and it's called Your Scrum Playbook from Fabian Schwartz. He also spoke here. And there's something, the book is very good, by the way. My elevator pitch review, 5 stars, get it on Amazon. It's a quick read, and it's the easiest Agile read you will have. Guaranteed. It's that good. Now, going back to the book and a specific metric that Fabian mentions, it's the happiness metric. And the happiness metric to summarize it, is related to dependent on the level of happiness that is in your employees or your team members. It's how that happiness will be reflected in your productivity. So somebody who is extremely happy, they get up and say, this is what I want to do. I'm sure of it, and no questions asked. You could probably pull in a 12-hour shift and you're happy because you're doing what you want to. In my case, being a Scrum Master was starting to weigh down on me. And even here, coaches like Rick, coaches like Regina noticed that the Scrum Mastership was not really agreeing with me. And it was getting to a point in which I was not happy. And although I was still committed to my teams, I know it was getting to a point in which I wasn't going to really keep loving what I'm doing. So I kept on pushing to become a product owner. And after waiting and having people and having to wait quite some time, I got my wish. And within that project, I became a product owner, and that worked. I was happy. I was working with the teams, but within that team, I did an inspection of how I was doing with the team and with that project. And I adapted to a couple of things. I was transparent on many of the issues that were going on that I was requesting help on to be a successful product owner. And it got to the point in which I found that I had to move on. Now, granted, as a Scrum Master, the fun part is I fell in love with Kanban. And that's why I recommended the Kanban course, because I find it that it is, I just found it fun. I found it a lot, very interesting. Although Kanban looks easy, it's not. It has a lot of detail that when you see the elevator pitch of Kanban, it's one thing, but when you look at it and you take courses like the KMP, that you really learn how the intricacies of Kanban and how you keep improving. And the Kaizen, which is one of my favorite words, it was time for me to grow. So little by little, I decided that I needed somewhere else to make sure that I was a product owner. And I found an opportunity, another one, friend of mine, he recommended me to this product owner position. And there, after 6 pretty much interesting interviews, and getting to know exactly what the expectations of being a product owner were, aside from knowing that I could do that, I was lucky enough to get the job. And as a product owner now, I can say that to Maria's question, as a product owner, I know I still have more to learn. When I was a product owner before, I was my main stakeholder and customer was my CEO telling me requirements. Now within my current position, I have adapted and learned to now go ahead and have client sessions to get feedback, to make sure that we're building the right thing. Not building for building, but we're building the right thing.
So, Omar, let me ask you a question. So how happy are you from 1 to 10?
10.
Wow.
Right now it's a 10. I have a good leader. As a boss, he is a leader. He's what most people would expect. For those who are in agile leadership or who are those in coaching or strive to be coaches or Scrum Masters, you want somebody to guide you, to help you along the way to be better and be successful. And this person who is my boss now, my product manager, and he's not here, but his name is Jeff Clare, and he is that person. He is acting as that leader. Now, with all this, the reason I am bringing all this up to you is because I have been both a Scrum Master and a product owner. I've been lucky enough to be both. What do you want, or what do you prefer? That is the question you have to ask yourself. Are you happy doing what you're doing? Do you want to look for something else? Again, that is something you need to know. And the way you can put it, it's choose a side. You want to be part of the empire? You want to be part of the Rebel Alliance? You want Real Madrid or you want Barcelona? You prefer Roger Federer or you prefer Nadal? It's really up to you. But my Agile journey, to the way I've seen it so far, product ownership is what drives me. And throughout all my positions right now, I can tell you, up to this point, product ownership has the one that has been most fulfilling, because I have seen how the hard work has paid off. And not that I haven't done it in the past, but the most rewarding is when you see that you work with your team and what was asked for, it's built and it's in production. Now, to answer this question that I had here for me, and take Barcelona or Real Madrid football teams just in case, here's my answer. And for those who do that, that is me in Camp Nou in a Champions League game. Now, one more thing. What is next? I don't know. I really don't know. Because thanks to transformation experts, I've discovered something different. I've discovered that I enjoy, I don't think I'm coaching. I think I'm just sharing my knowledge with others. So I don't see it as coaching when I was running the sessions on Saturday. But I have helped people on the side who have put their trust in me and have asked for help, for guidance, for coaching, and I've been able to help them out. So what's next? If I tell you right now, product, I want to be a product manager, and then probably the VP of product. And if I can hit the C-level suite, hey, perfect. But that's if I answer right now. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I will become a Jedi Master like Marcelo and have others like I have him as my mentor and coach. So it really depends on you. But for now, I can say that I don't know. I can tell you today, but tomorrow, it depends on what comes next or what comes up, since there is the phrase life happens. And that is my trip to being a product owner, Scrum Master, product owner.
Wow.
Thank you.
Any questions, additional questions there, Marcelo, in the chat? Just want to make sure. But an amazing job, Omar. I'm just going to give you a big round of applause.
Great job.
Yeah, man. I almost feel like taking off these rubber gloves, man. I mean, seriously, this could be dangerous to my skin, but I feel like I got to take these gloves off. This is great, Omar. I'm so proud of you, and I got to tell you personally, your journey has just been inspiring. I hope that other folks that have heard this journey, and those that come onto YouTube and hear it, will also be inspired and called to search inside of themselves and say, okay, what really drives me? I mean, what am I really passionate about? Because it's
So let's show our love to Omar. All right, let's everyone turn on your video cameras, please.
Please,
Let's go.
please,
Video
turn on your
cameras. Video
video.
cameras on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how do we want to share our love with Omar? How do we want to send out a very, caring message to him? Okay, so come up with whatever gesture you want to send to Omar. Okay, that thanks him for his participation, for his contribution. Again, it's amazing to see how much you've grown. So Neilu, are you ready?